Blah 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 blah. Hello everybody and welcome to I'll Tell You What TV, the unofficial F1 podcast where there's a good chance that someone will have a shit, someone else will have a piss, and James will definitely fart so loud it sounds like a door being opened. Okay guys, obviously I'm here, Dave, Steve's here, James is here, he's awake.
Is he?
I don't know where we start. Obviously we're here to talk about the Chinese Grand Prix.
Qualifying. Start at qualifying.
Well, there was no surprises, was there?
Yeah, because it was the first time in a season and a bit that I voted for someone other than fucking Hamilton.
Oh, and who got pole?
Hamilton.
Well, the interesting thing is, right, I actually haven't sorted out the results of the predictions yet. I was going to do it live on this podcast, right? So I don't actually remember who has gone for what, other than I do remember that I said Hulkenberg had finished third and he didn't even fucking get halfway through the fucking race.
What is it with Hulkenberg's cat? It just seems to every single race, I know it's a Renault, but every single race he's in, when he's in a semi-decent position, if he qualifies well, he just goes backwards and the car
No. It's
ends
because
up being a problem.
Hulkenberg car. Smashed car.
Well, yeah, he does. He has smashed it a few times. But I mean, I'd say the only sort of exciting thing about, not even exciting, the only interesting things I found about qualifying was Alex Albon's actual fuck up in FP3. And the fact that it's the first time in a long time that the grid has lined up two teammates, all the way through the top 10.
Yeah, it just shows that everyone got the maximum out of their car, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one who didn't get the maximum out of the car, even though it were 2x2x2, were Gasly. How did we say we're about 8 or 9 tenths slower than Verstappen?
It was about 8 tenths, yeah.
On a faster compounder tyre.
Yeah, there is that as well.
It is ringing alarm bells for me. It's the third race now. If he hasn't got on the same pace as Verstappen by another 2 races, I think Helmut Marko's wonky eye is going to be aiming down in that Toro Rosso garage thinking, which one of them two shall I stick in car instead?
Well, I've got a little theory about this. If you remember on our last podcast, James, you were talking about how Webber struggled to get used to the blown diffuser, and we also talked a bit, or it's been talked about, that Danny Ricciardo is having to get used to the Renault not braking anywhere near as quickly or as well as the Red Bull. I'm wondering if there's something about that Red Bull car that Verstappen is... You might want to turn your volume down on your PlayStation.
Oh
by the way,
shit!
James.
I thought that volume off.
Yeah, it's possible there's something about that Red Bull that Verstappen has been used to for the last 2 years, but Gasly isn't. And I wondered whether it might be not necessarily a blown diffuser, but something similar to that. Some kind of way of driving the car that he's not used to, that he's got to try.
Yeah, I mean, the time that the lost time he's got is almost as if he's not getting the car in the tyre temperature window, and that car might need to just brake a lot heavier, a lot harder to create more. I'm not saying it is, but it could be one of those things. And if he's not getting the temperature in the tyres, he's not going to do the lap time.
Yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. What I would say though is, I mean, what is going on with Ferrari, right? After pre-season testing, all the people in the know were basically saying Ferrari have got the fastest car. Have they? Because only in one of 3 races so far have they actually shown that they've got a good car. The other 2, they've been pretty poor, and not only that, I sat there watching the race and thinking, Leclerc's doing well. Leclerc's doing really well. And as soon as he got the message, oh yeah, can you let Sebastian through? I thought, fucking hell, you might as well just put Kimi Raikkonen on the side of his car. Like the name, because you're going to fuck him over in exactly the same way. And
Yeah.
okay, I can kind of understand perhaps going, okay, well, if the guy behind is faster, yeah, do a change of position, see if they catch up. Within 3 laps, Vettel had fucked up 4 times. At that point, you go, right, switch back, because you're not...
They couldn't though, could they?
Oh,
because
well,
a switchback would have lost out to Verstappen, even though they lost out anyway.
No, a return would only have cost Vettel. Tough shit. You thought you were faster. We gave you the opportunity to show it. You fucked up. But
I agree, but I don't think they should have done it anyway. And the reason why I don't think they should have done it anyway is that at that point in time, because obviously that race hadn't finished, Leclerc was leading Vettel in the championship. So it's not like they were saying, "Oh, well, we're giving the guy that's got the more championship points to gain more points."
Yeah.
You know, and the messages that came through, it's like, you need to speed up, or we're going to have to ask you to let Vettel through. How much time did they allow him to speed up?
Yeah.
But also, it sounded like I think Crofty or Martin said, it sounded like he was just about to come back with, "We are both now going faster."
Yeah.
And it was almost as if they knew that if it stayed as it was, whichever was the second of the two Ferraris was going to get jumped by the undercut, and they didn't want Vettel in that position to get jumped by the undercut.
The thing is, though, right? I mean, let's put it this way: once they didn't switch them back, and they bring Vettel in first, okay, he's then the leading car on track. He can come in first, understand that. But why didn't they bring Leclerc in the lap after? He wouldn't have got undercut by Max Verstappen because he'd have been ahead of him when he went into the pits, and more than likely ahead of him when they come out of the pits, and Vettel would have been safe. Instead,
why didn't they do what Mercedes did at the end, which was double stack? We don't see it very often, but they would have lost less time double stacking
Ferrari won't
than the undercut.
That. Ferrari will not do that because of the problems they've had in pit lanes, especially with Mr. I was going to say Mr. Spaghetti. It's not spaghetti. It's something else.
Bolognese.
With them having a broken leg, they never want to take risks in the pit lane. So I don't think you'll ever see them double stack. But they should have brought Leclerc in the lap after. And I mean, I said to James the other night, it was almost as if they went, right, okay, Leclerc, let Vettel through, and then 20-30 minutes later go, oh fuck yeah, we forgot you were there, mate. Yeah, you might want to come in and get some tyres.
Well, actually, I think I listened to something a day or two later. So basically yesterday, and what it was, they were wanting Leclerc to be still out on track to slow the Mercedes down.
Well, that worked, didn't it?
No. No, but that's what they did with Kimi Raikkonen, though, at one of the races, or a couple of the races last season, where the Mercedes, you stay out longer than the Mercedes catch you back up, but you're able to slow them down. But he couldn't. His tyres had gone so much.
Yeah. I mean, Ferrari could have come away with a third and a fourth. Either way round, could have come away with a third and a fourth, but instead they fucked over one driver so that Vettel could have third. He would have had third anyway. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, like I say, as soon as he got past Leclerc and started, like, once he had the first lock up, I'd have been like, okay, just keep an eye on that, guys, because if he does that another time, we may have a problem here. And if you're Leclerc, you've got to be sitting there thinking, right, I was driving at the delta I was given. The only reason Sebastian appears faster is because he's within me DRS. Sorry, I can hear James's controller going.
Oh, sorry.
It's almost like someone's counting all the words I'm saying.
Can you hear it now?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yes. I heard it then as well. Yes.
Put it under your jumper.
So if you're Leclerc, you've got to be sitting there thinking, this guy's shit. They've just made me give up my position for him, and look at him, he's going off all over the place.
What was the right thing for Leclerc to do, though, at that point? I mean, he did make the message back to the team, saying, look, guys, I just want to let you know I'm faster now than he is. Just don't know if you wanted to know, but I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. But
I liked what Johnny Herbert said after the race, which was, or was it Anthony Davidson? I can't remember which. Why didn't they just let them race? And if Vettel was faster, he would have overtook him.
Exactly. I mean, Ted said it during the race as well, and I agree. Let them race. If Vettel is faster, then he will be able to overtake. I mean, let's put it this way. A Ferrari that hasn't got DRS versus a Ferrari that has got DRS, which one should be going into the hairpin first?
One with DRS?
Exactly. So it shouldn't have been. There shouldn't have been a conversation, and not being. I don't know what it is, right? I mean, we do racing in a gaming sense, and we've done racing where we've had teammates and stuff like that. And yes, I'm sure we've all had a situation where we'd go, right, my teammate's behind me, but we're on different strategies, or he is faster, so I am just going to let him through, all right? But I think only once have I kind of called for team orders, and that was in like the last 2 races of a championship when I was fighting for the title and a reserve driver wanted to know if he could come past me to take the win. And I said, I'd like to let you through, but I need the points for the championship, so can you hold position? And he was like, yeah, no problem, understand. So I couldn't imagine sitting there in the car going, oh, come on, guys, I'm faster than he is. Can you make him get out of the way? Fuck off. You paid how many fucking millions? Drive the bloody car and overtake him. I bet that's what fucking what's-his-face arse would say. Could you eat? Maybe that's what Ferrari should do. They should put him in charge of fucking Ferrari.
Dr. Steiner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now we told him to go past him, but not over the top.
Right, James, you're being very quiet. I know you're making liveries at the moment while you're talking to us, but you're not talking to us. So come on, give us your views.
What we're talking about?
No, I know what we're talking about. I would have probably said it did look like Sebastian was slightly quicker just because he was right up his ass. But
I don't think he was, James.
He were close, but I don't think he were in a position where. Fair enough, if literally into every braking zone his front wing is nearly touching his back wheels. Fair enough. But once he got in front and he started locking up, I would have automatically, if I'd have been Charles Leclerc's engineer, I'd have been like, we need to switch strategy right now.
Yeah.
Because right now, we're losing time. We thought that Vettel was quicker, but right now it's quite obvious he's not.
Yeah.
So right now, switch strategy. Tell Vettel, does he want to switch strategy? If he does not want to switch strategy, we are bringing Leclerc in now. That's what I would have said.
I agree with you, because that would have then, if they'd have pitted Leclerc or Vettel before the Red Bull, then there's no undercut. They wouldn't have got undercut.
Yeah. Well, but this is what I'm saying with when Vettel pitted. Vettel pitted a lap after. Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Vettel pitted a lap after Verstappen. Right. So if Ferrari, I did get a little muddled up there. So if Ferrari had pitted Leclerc. So it had gone Vettel pits on one lap, then Verstappen pitted, then Vettel pitted. If Ferrari had pitted Leclerc the next lap, yes, he would have got undercut by Verstappen. But where would he have been? Right up his fucking arse. Not 15 seconds behind him when he does eventually make his pit stop, and not being daft. I sat there looking at the time going, he's going to gain on him by a couple of seconds in a moment. 15 laps later, he's not gained on him at all.
Well, hang on, that was later on, because in the middle part of the race, it was gaining on him, and it was like, yeah, this is going to work. But then what does Verstappen go and do? Pit again, get another undercut. And that's where that second undercut, Leclerc could not catch him up again at the end.
Yeah, I personally think, though, what I would have done if I'd have been Charles Leclerc's engineer, if I were told by somebody above me, look, you can't pit him because that's not going to work, right? What I would have potentially done is go, right, either Vettel's got in front and he's starting to lock up and we're basically losing time. Either A, we pit now and do a massive undercut, or B, we go long and give ourselves the best opportunity to do a full-on one-stop, so go as far as we can, like Kimi Räikkönen's strategy. Kimi Räikkönen's strategy was fair decent. It goes as long as you can before the tyres literally blow up, and then pit, and then you're on a semi-decent strategy. I think that would have been better. I know that the Verstappen doing the extra pit stop kind of cocked that up, but I'm pretty sure Vettel pitted, and it were only like 1 or 2 laps later, Leclerc pitted, and it were a bit like, oh well. I think even Brundle said, well, what's the point in that? I think
it's kind of like a pit stop in no man's land, wasn't it?
Yeah. It were like, well, if you pit now, you're behind everybody, and you've not got an advantage on tyres. You've only got an advantage of like 2 laps, whereas you need. If you want to come back at people, you need about 8 laps difference in tyre life. But unfortunately, doing it 2 laps later just meant you're not only behind them, you've not got that much of an advantage in rubber.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you, right? At the start of the season, I remember you, James, saying, who's Alex Albon then? Do you know who he is now?
I do, yeah. He's been quietly solid. He's not the most egotistical driver I've ever seen. And at first in testing, I think the main reason why I was like, who's he, were because I've not been able to view him in like Formula 2 or all like that. So that's usually me usual gauge of how good somebody is. And when you promote somebody from so far down, a bit like what they did with Verstappen had a bit more clout behind him because of his dad.
Yeah.
And Albon's turned up, and I were a bit like, I don't know, maybe Red Bull have just run out of drivers and are just throwing this kid in because they ain't got no else. But it's quite clear for me to see that he's got his head screwed on, and with Kvyat doing his typical, "Oh fuck, I didn't see you there. Oh shit." It kind of it were a reinforcement of you cannot, no matter how quick Danny Kvyat is, you cannot put him back in the Red Bull because he's a liability.
All right, let's talk about that first lap incident with Kvyat. Who thinks it was Kvyat's fault?
Moi.
I don't.
Do
you not?
No. Well, put it this way, I don't think he's 100% to blame. And
no,
if you
I wouldn't say we're completely to blame. I just think that on the first lap of a race, you've got to have eyes in the back of your ass. I know that you can't literally get your head out of the cockpit and stare around, but if you've got a potential doubt of whether somebody's there, I would play it cautiously in the midfield.
Look at the out lap, the formation lap. two cars spun on the warm-up lap. That's how low grip was. So I was expecting somebody to spin at least in that first lap. Now, somebody just spinning on their own didn't seem to happen. But when they went into that corner and they needed to put the foot down on the power, you're going to get some movement in the rear. And Carlos Sainz got movement in the rear next to Kvyat, who got movement in the rear. At the same time, you've got Norris, who's off the track because he braked a bit too late. Who didn't have, well, not necessarily brake too late, but didn't have the grip in the tyres to slow the car down enough. So he was wobbling all over the place on the exit of the corner as well. I don't think it was a right. We can definitely rule out stupid overtake because it wasn't a dive bomb, and it was unsighted to Carlos Sainz behind him. And if anything, from looking at it from Carlos Sainz's car, he was the one putting his car in a wedge. And he was the one that probably should have just eased off a little bit to give the space. But because he put his car where it did, that's what pivoted Kvyat's car into Norris.
Well, all I'll say is I haven't looked. I know they showed a replay of it like fucking 4 billion times during the race, but I've not really had another look into it. So I'm just going to go with what Anthony Davidson said at the time when he looked at it from all three drivers' view, and he said he feels that there isn't any one of the three of them that's to blame. It's like 3 into 1 doesn't go. But if I was going to proportion, or the way I would perhaps look at it is, because I've not reviewed it a number of times, is I'd go, right, Lando Norris is off the track and he comes back on the track, so bit of blame there. Carlos Sainz can see both cars and still puts his car where he does, so maybe a bit of blame there. Danny Kvyat surely must be aware that there's at least one car next to him, but maybe wouldn't expect there to be 2 cars next to him, given that there's only space for 1 car next to him. So maybe a little. So I would find it very difficult to hand out a penalty directly. But it wasn't the only thing he was involved in during the race, was it, Danny Kvyat? I'm sure he was involved in other scuffles.
Before we get on to that, I just want to say as well, what fucked me off were we got replay, came back, and somebody had moved up the grid 3 positions, and we missed it all. I don't know if it was Kimi Räikkönen.
It might have been Perez, actually. I think it might have been Perez. Someone gained 4 places at the start, and we didn't see anything of it. Although 3 of those positions may have been Sainz, Norris, and Kvyat. But it still would have been nice to see. I mean, one thing I will say is, actually, there's a number of things that I want to say, but one thing I will say is that the camera work at this Grand Prix was absolutely shocking.
Who were in control of the camera
on the pit straight
down at turn 1, looking back. Kept looking back when they were not fucking there. I know you're looking to see if a car's going in pit lane. fuck me, who's in control of this? It felt like fucking Stevie Wonder on camera.
Well, the thing is, because we watched that video or listened to that video that explained about how it's done, I kind of can't fault the cameraman. I mean, his job will be to look at that final corner, and if a car comes round or two cars together, you follow them up into turn one, and then he has to look back to the final corner. That's what his job is. But someone else is saying, right, go to Mickey Mouse on the pit straight. There's no one coming, so let's have a look at that. So someone's making the decision to put that camera's feed live when there's nothing there. And there was a lot of times where stuff like that was happening. It really was a poor production in that sense of things. But what I was going to say was, I know, James, you sent me and Steve a message the other day with a few sort of out of 10 ratings for the first three races. And before we get on to that, it got me thinking back to the Grand Prix at China last season, right? And I remember from, not that I remember a lot, but I kind of remember that race was actually pretty boring until Verstappen wiped out Vettel and the safety car, and then Toro Rosso's come together, and then the safety car came out. So it wasn't very exciting until the safety car came out and Red Bull did something different, which gave us loads of action at the end. Whereas this race was a little bit fucking boring all the way through, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But did you hear the statistic about how many overtakes there was at China last year?
100 and something.
That's got to be bullshit. I mean, surely they're taking it on, like, every time a car has gone past a car, whether it's crashed off or in the pits or... I mean, that sounds odd to me. Or have they done it like Formula E where... Okay, this car's overtaken that one, so he's gone up a position and he's gone down a position. That's 2 overtakes.
Well, it seems odd that Australia had, what was it, 3 or 4 last year, but China had 100 and I'm not so sure. But
it does come across as they're fudging the statistics by saying this car's been overtaken so many times and this car's overtaken so many times, so we had those numbers together.
Yeah. So, James, you were going to say something when I was on about how boring the race seemed to be.
Well, I think it could have potentially been good if Ferrari were willing to change things up. The thing that we always used to say about Red Bull were they always used to put a spanner in works, and they did kind of with Verstappen doing the extra pit stop. But if I were Ferrari in that situation where you've got both Mercedes pulling away, and you can't seem to catch them, why not try the early undercut? Because it had forced Mercedes to do a bit of head scratching and go, do we get us balls out and go, we're sticking to our strategy, we're not worrying about that? Or will you get them to go, oh fuck, should we just pick one of them? And then you pick one of them, and the next one pits, and the next one pits, and it starts a concertina.
Yeah.
And you start.
Well, not only that,
Ferrari are just playing it a bit too safe for me.
Normally, when a team is unsure whether it's a one-stop or a two-stop, they split the strategies between the cars. Mercedes didn't do it, and neither did Ferrari. Now, with Red Bull, it's difficult to say what they were planning on doing because I think they just reacted to the situation around them. Mercedes and Ferrari don't seem to do that with the pit stop. But if Ferrari had have pitted one of them early to undercut the Mercedes, you think of how that would have changed the race.
Yeah.
That means then you've got Mercedes, even if they'd have only undercut one Mercedes, you've got a Ferrari that... They could have sacrificed Leclerc and said, look, we're going to pit you really early so that you come out ahead of the Mercedes or a Mercedes, which then allows Vettel to catch him up earlier in the race rather than hopefully towards the end of the race.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, after the first, I think it was the first round of pit stops, because Vettel pitted just before, I think it was when... It might have been the later pit stops, actually. No, it was the first round of pit stops. Because it was when Vettel said, why did you pit Bottas first? And the answer should have been...
No,
Hamilton said
Hamilton,
Yeah, it was Hamilton said, why did Bottas pit first? and it was to cover off Vettel, because once Bottas had come out of the pits, Vettel had gone from being like 8 to 9 seconds behind to being like 2 or 3 seconds behind. So if you factor in pitting, as you say, much earlier, and pitting 4, 5, well, somewhere between 3 and 6 laps earlier, then Vettel would have been ahead, or Leclerc could have been. One of the Ferraris would have and could have been ahead, which would have made Ferrari go, shit, we need to pit Bottas, and then that...
Mercedes.
Yeah, and then that automatically puts Hamilton under pressure. But because Ferrari don't ever take risks, it's almost as if they can't see that possibility, or if they do, someone says, nah, it's not worth, let's just stick to what we've decided we think is best.
Do you know what, right? I remember Ross Brawn being at Ferrari, and some of the strategies that he used to come out with were mind-boggling, to the way where you thought that no way was a Ferrari going to win this race. Next thing you know, they're leading.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the way he's just on the spot, whether it was him or his team that was working underneath him, just figured out, well, if we do this, if we change the situation now and do this, this could be the situation. And they took risks when Ross Brawn was there, and a lot of the time it paid off. Now, they've gone like McLaren used to be, which is, or even Williams used to be, you know, we're just going to drive to our strategy and do nothing different, and we're going to pit one car on one lap, and then the very next lap we'll pit the other car, and we're just going to get to the end, and it doesn't matter what anybody else does. But I think that's why it probably worked for Ferrari back then, because they knew that McLaren or Williams were so predictable with their strategies that they could play around and work around it.
But unfortunately now, the only team that tends to throw a spanner in works is Red Bull. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, though, I was impressed and surprised with Mercedes' double stack. I mean, that shows a team that goes, we've been in this situation before at this track. Let's learn from our mistakes. And that's something that Ferrari don't seem to do. They don't seem to learn from their mistakes, although they have learned, as I mentioned on the last podcast, or the Bahrain podcast, about not having a mechanic stand in front of the rear wheels at a pit stop. But they don't seem to learn from those kind of... But Mercedes, for them, in that situation, to go, right, guys, the best thing that we can do for us right now is bring both guys in at the same time. And
normally, double stacking, you only see it when there's a safety car or a virtual safety car, or if it's pissing it down with rain all of a sudden. Not normally in full-blown race situation.
And the thing is, I think they potentially planned it before the race, and shall I tell you why?
Why?
On commentary, I'm pretty sure it was Crofty who said, when they were talking about Mercedes, said Mercedes were practicing pit stops up to an hour before the start of the race. And I was like, oh, right, I wouldn't have thought teams would do it up to that point. But if they were practicing with the intent of, right, guys, we're practicing a double stack here.
Well, not only that, their pit stops were some of the, not on that particular pit stop, but their other pit stops were some of the fastest of the weekend, 2.2 and 2.3 seconds. Now, I can understand when they double stack, it might be more of a 3 second, because you want to make sure it works properly. You get it right, because obviously if you fuck up, it's going to be another 4 or 5 seconds that both cars lose.
I mean, would we agree that... I mean, James, I mentioned you sent us a message the other day about... your ratings of the first 3 races. Do you want to remind us of what they were, or do you not remember?
I can't fully remember, but I seem to remember putting some along the lines of Australia 2 out of 10, Bahrain 7 or 8 out of 10, and then this race about 3 out of 10. And even thinking back on it, it was just so... To say that was the 1000th race of Formula 1, I know that you can't predict whether it's going to be good or not, but it did once again just show me that it were very much like a last year race, where It's all just a bit numb.
Well, I was going to say that. I mean, in all honesty, I fell asleep during the race. I mean, how many laps was the race? 53, 58, something like that. And I know I fell asleep somewhere in the 40s, and nothing had happened when I sort of kept waking up. But there's a number of ways of looking at the race, and one is, it was bull. What the hell is going on with my fucking words today? It was dull and boring. I tell you, it's this guy that came to have a look at the TV. He's ruined me, Edmund. I'll tell you about it in a bit. It was a dull and boring race, but when you look at the timing tower, because I was thinking we're not seeing much of the midfield battle, and I looked at the timing tower and go, well, there isn't one. Everyone's like second half, 2 seconds gap. Now, it'd be easy to go, oh, well, these regulation changes haven't helped, blah, 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 and there may be a hint of that in truth, but to be fair, Bahrain showed otherwise. So I'm wondering whether it was more the team struggled a bit in the practice session to get into the temperature window and the wind. On race day, the wind was not good and it was a colder day. So I think for many teams, the tyres were out of the window range. Out of their window.
What I would say though about the race is there was something about that race though that did spark a bit of interest in me, and that was the amount of pit stops. Now I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I've seen a lot of Formula One races over the last few years that have just been a one-stop race, and it just becomes very predictable because you know they're going to do a one-stop race and there's no freedom for strategies in that. And a bit back to the Ross Brawn kind of comment, but because they were doing 2 stops and actually 3 stops, some of them, it's like, okay, Albon did a 1-stop. I think Kimi Räikkönen did a 1-stop. Because there was that variety in there, it did make you wonder, well, is this car going to pit again? Is he pushing hard on his tyres, burning them up, and going to have to pit again? And I think it would be a better way for Formula One to go if the degradation on the tyres was greater, forcing them to pit more often.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a fan of, we've had an overtake because he's in the pit lane. I don't like that. What I like is a car on fresh tyres, catching up a car on old tyres. That's what I like to see. And you've got that. You're creating a battle because of strategy, and I prefer that. You know, is he going to catch him up in the last few laps because he's on shit tyres and he's on new tyres? Rather than, well, they've all pitted halfway through the race and we've just got to sit and wait for the checkered flag now.
I know exactly what you mean. I personally would like tyres that were super grippy and you could push them. And I think somebody mentioned like a harder compounded tyre. You can sometimes lean on it a bit more than the softer ones, whereas the softer ones, you'll go quicker, but you've got to look after them. So,
and the temperature window is smaller as well.
For me, I think this just highlights how shit Pirelli are.
Well, I don't know whether you blame Pirelli. They're doing what the FIA or whoever tells them what to do.
I blame them both. But I personally, I don't remember. I remember obviously the Bridgestone tyres you could run on a set of soft Bridgestones all the way through the race if you really wanted. But I wouldn't say that I'd want. I wouldn't say that I'd want enforced amount of pit stops because that's not right. But I think if there was a clear thing where it said, right, if we're going to make a tyre, your super softs are gonna, you can push like mad on them, you can rag them to shit, and they'll go 1 second per lap quicker than the soft tyre. but they only last maximum like 30 mile. Past 30 mile,
so you're looking at 10 laps.
Yeah, they start just completely dropping off. But there's a sharp drop, so you've only got 1 or 2 laps to make that tyre call. And I think that's one of the things that, for me, the degradation's so gradual, or the teams have already, after 3 races, got a handle on the degradation of the tyres, that it's so gradual that it forces people to go, well, we can just stay out, because I don't think they're going to catch us, because if we hit this delta, it's just... we'll be able to eke out the tyre. Whereas I think I prefer tyres that gave really amazing grip, but then the cliff was like massive. Like,
well, if you imagine a tyre, so like you have your tyre tread effectively, but it's not a tread, but you've got a certain depth of raceable rubber.
A gauge.
Yeah, depth gauge, or whatever it might be. If the tyre was able to give the same level of grip until the point that layer of rubber is gone, that would be fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning. So, but I'm not saying, like, let's say, for example, the amount of rubber on the tyre before reaching the canvas is like only a centimetre. I'm saying, like, have a centimetre of fucking amazing rubber, the best rubber you've ever known, for like the super softs, but then the next layer is
worse than the lower compound.
Worse than the hardest of the hardest tyre. So once it gets to the next layer of rubber, after that's worn out, you can still keep going on the tyres, but it comes at a sacrifice of, it's like running the hardest of the hardest tyre. So it isn't like the tyre's just going to all of a sudden go, fucking hell, I'm down at canvas already, I've only been on them 10 minutes. It means that and even, I think once, Anthony Davison once mentioned it, where they can actually put dyes into the rubber. Yeah. So imagine if you had a brand new set of super softs. They're marked with the normal pin on the sidewall of the rubber with red. So you know that they're the super softs. And the tyre's on, and when it's brand new, it's shiny black, like we're seeing with these new tyres. And then when you're running, if once it gets to a point where you're running out of that super soft tyre, the black rubber is pretty much gone, and what's revealed is a particular colour. So it might look like actual, like when it runs down to the harder rubber compound underneath what is the super soft compound on top. Once that's worn away after 30 miles, there's an actual colour gauge, so the viewer can physically see, going, fucking hell, he's run out of his rubber. He's now effectively on the hardest of the hardest tyre.
Yeah, and
he can keep running on it, but it's going to be dog shit slow compared to a brand new set of super softs. So there's something visual for the audience to see, and there's also something for the team to go, oh, so let's say, for example, there's a driver out there. Let's say Max Verstappen's out there, and he's running behind Hamilton. Hamilton's in P2, and every lap people are going, oh, he just doesn't seem to be as quick today. He doesn't seem to be on it. After 25 mile, Verstappen's tyre starts pretty much showing red, the compound underneath. And Hamilton then all of a sudden breezes gets right up Verstappen's arse, and then you could clearly see what the driver was doing, not only visually, but also the compound of tyre would show you what the driver's doing. And it's like, Hamilton's been looking after his tyre for this situation.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually thinking a similar thing. You just beat me to saying it. I mean, I agree with you. It would be good to have, I think, different coloured tyres for different levels of grip and stuff like that. Holy cow. But, I mean, we could talk about that all day long. I mean, one thing I will say is when Chase Carey come in and took over Formula One, there was a lot of question marks about what he was going to do. And okay, I'd still rather see grid girls, but I've got to say things are going in the right direction, I think, regards to Formula One. Things that aren't going in the right direction, though, is Haas, Renault, Williams. I mean, looking at their races from this weekend, Grosjean, was it a retirement for Grosjean? Or did he actually finish?
I thought he finished. Didn't he get a point? Oh no.
No, that's right. No, they both Haasers started in the top 10, but they both finished outside the top 10.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, Grosjean finished 11th, didn't he?
Yes, right.
They were chasing Albon. Yeah.
So yeah, not good for Haas, to be honest. Renault, I mean, I know they talked about what the problem was in Bahrain, but even so, I mean, okay, it'd be easy to say Daniel Ricciardo has made the wrong move, but people were saying that about Hamilton when he went to Mercedes. I wasn't. I was saying, no, give him a year or two, he'll win everything. I'm not saying that that's what will happen with Ricciardo, but it could happen. But I am a little bit concerned about what's going on with Renault at the moment.
Yeah. I think Ricciardo is just sat waiting for Vettel to leave Ferrari.
I don't think it'd be Ricciardo who goes in there. I think the next driver into Ferrari is Hamilton.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
So maybe Ricciardo's waiting for the Mercedes seat.
Well, put it this way, it's going to be one of those two that is in next.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's probably holding Hamilton back from moving to Ferrari, I think if Hamilton moves to Ferrari, he'll want to have some bargaining power of taking some key people from Mercedes with him. Because you look at that Ferrari, it's a fantastic car, but if the strategy's not worth shit, there's no point going.
Yeah.
Whereas if he took some strategy people from Mercedes to Ferrari, fuck me, it'd be formidable.
Well, hang on, not being daft, it could take one of us three and be better than what Ferrari are doing at the minute. And we can't even fucking talk properly.
Exactly.
But
you said
by the time you told him to pit, he's gone past.
Yeah.
I didn't. You told me to pit? No, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so who else did I mention there? William, well, we've talked a lot about Williams already this season. They're racing each other. There's no point. Did you actually see, I only saw it a couple of days ago, the video Sky did with Lando Norris, George Russell and Alex Albon, where they took them go-karting in Bahrain?
Yeah.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. Like where... what was it, part where they were asked, so when you were growing up, which drivers did you look up to that you're racing against now? And Lando Norris goes, well, none of them really. And George Russell turns around to him and says, well, you always were a fan of Hamilton. He says, yeah, but I'm not racing him. He lapped me in the last race. And then George Russell turned around and goes, well, you lapped me. So, yeah, I did enjoy that. I mean, but the thing, again, those three youngsters have come through showing they've got some personality, which we've sort of hinted on before. But I mean, I will say it was definitely not the most exciting of Grand Prix, that's for sure. I know we talked a lot about Ferrari today, but Are you up to speed with what's been going on with the smell of the that's been coming out of the Ferrari engines?
What? It's not smelling of gravy.
No, it actually smells like grapefruit juice.
Very fruity.
Yeah, I'm reading here that Christian Horner found out in Australia that Ferrari's fuel smells like grapefruit juice. But what about Haas, who get their engines from Ferrari? Well, Gunter Steiner said this: "We were asked before the season which fragrance we wanted. We chose raspberry."
It's true, that as well.
But I do know that they sent Anthony Davidson down to the Haas garage and asked him what it smelled like, and he did say there's a definite smell to it. And I mean, there's potentially nothing dodgy going on. I don't know too much about it, but when the commentary team were going on about how a number of years ago a percentage of the oil used to be castor oil, because something about
1%.
Yeah, certain percent of the oil or fuel or whatever had to be like not reusable, but not something that just gets thrown away and doesn't biodegrade or whatever it might be.
It's where castor oil got its name from. It's from the reason why it's called oil is because of putting it in motor engines.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
You're full of shit there.
No, that's off the same programme on Sky.
Bollocks. I was watching that, I don't remember hearing that, and I don't believe it either. Are you telling me, right, that people used castor oil in engines before they used it in food products?
No, it wasn't called castor oil when they used it in food products. It was just used. It was called something else, but not castor oil.
All right, castor lubrication.
No.
All right.
I can't remember, but it was something else.
Okay.
But anyway,
shall we have a look at how we got on with our predictions for the Chinese Grand Prix?
Go on then.
Right. Steve, you said that Leclerc would get pole position, so a big fat 0 points for you. James, do you remember who you said?
To win?
No, for pole.
Pole. Did I say Hamilton?
Yes, you did.
Oh.
That's a point for you. No, Bottas got pole, didn't he?
Bottas got pole.
Yeah, Bottas got pole.
Hamilton just did him on the start.
That's right, bollocks. That means I didn't get a point either because I said Hamilton. I thought Hamilton got pole from it.
I thought Hamilton got pole as well for a minute. So
you don't feel as bad now for picking him for pole position?
I don't feel as bad now.
Okay, for the win, Steve, you chose Hamilton, so you do get a point for that. James, do you remember who you chose?
I can't remember.
Leclerc.
No, damn it.
Yeah, it could have been worse. I went for Verstappen. But to be fair, I mean, Verstappen in the Red Bull actually looked pretty handy around there.
Oh, hang on, before we go any further, what's your thoughts on what happened at the end of qualifying, end of Q3?
Oh, with the Ferraris?
Yeah.
Well,
what happened? Did I miss someone?
Well, going into the final lap of qualifying, right, Max Verstappen's keeping distance from the car in front of him.
Yeah, I remember.
And Vettel overtakes. Now, if you listen to the radio from Verstappen's car, his engineer's going, "You've got to go now, you've got to go now." And he's like, I can't go, I've got to build a gap. But the reason why his engineer is saying go now is because if he didn't, he wasn't going to make the start-finish line for his last lap. He thought he had 30 seconds more.
Yeah.
Whereas Vettel was told, at this pace, you're not going to make the line. That's why he went past Verstappen to make sure he got another lap in. Verstappen's engineer should have said, you're not going to meet the cut-off. You've got to go. His message was go now, not, you're not going to meet the cut-off. And that's why the two Hassers didn't improve either, because they didn't get the final running.
Yeah.
But
go
on.
No, you go, because I'm about to
have a piss.
Give birth.
Well, I was going to say that once Vettel had gone past Verstappen and his engineers giving, you got to go. Verstappen then let. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ, he wasn't lying. What the fuck? Are you wearing leather trousers or something?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Is she in the bath?
She's not in the bath, is she, James? You can't. Please tell me you haven't taken your microphone into the bathroom while Vicky's in the bath.
Whatever you do not put the video on.
I'm busting. I'm gonna give birth if you don't. Please.
Make him shit himself.
Oh, we've lost him from the chat.
He's just been beaten up. Anyway, what I was trying to say was, Verstappen was overtaken by 3 other cars after Vettel had passed him. Yep. Now, okay, a few people have come out and said, well, there's a sort of unwritten rule that as you go into the last sector, you don't go past anyone. But I would say, okay, it's an James, you dirty bastard.
Well, let's hope that Vicky's let him do that and he's not just outside with a bucket.
I've kicked him. That was disgusting. I suppose I should ask him to get him to come back in. He probably would tell me, you cannot add him. So it's an unwritten rule. So, in other words, there's nothing wrong with doing it.
I can't add him, Dave.
I have.
Oh.
What's going on?
I kicked you. So it's an unwritten rule, so there's nothing wrong with people doing what Vettel did. Vettel was told, you're not going to make the line. So he did what he needed to do to make the line.
Did you not see Hamilton's tweet?
No.
Max Verstappen tweeted saying, I thought there was an unwritten rule in Formula 1 that you didn't overtake in the last sector in qualifying when preparing for your lap. And Hamilton replied with, nope.
Well, there you go. So I ain't got a problem with what. I mean, it's a bit cheeky, but at the end of the day, your number one aim is to make sure you cross the line. And to be fair, I've done it in the gaming world where I've gone, you know what, I've got a few cars behind me, I can't really back off, I've got one car ahead of me, fuck it, if I go past him, then I've got a bit of clear road, fuck it, I'm going for it. And they don't like it. But that's my problem, not theirs. Because either I've overheated my tyres or I haven't. Anyway, on to the diabolical podium predictions. So let's see how many Steve got right. Steve said that Hamilton would be first step of the podium. So that's 2 points.
2 points.
You then said it would be Verstappen and Leclerc. So it is only 2 points. Let's see how James got on. James said that Leclerc would be on the top step of the podium. He said that Max Verstappen would be on the third step of the podium. The question is, though, did he pick another name that is actually on the podium?
No.
Bottas. Did I say Bottas? I'm sure I did.
You did say Bottas for second place, and you were right. So 2 points for you. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I know you both remember that I said Hulkenberg will finish third, but you'll be amazed at how many points I'm getting out of the other two. Absolutely fuck all, because I said Verstappen and Leclerc.
Almost.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah. It was not. Okay, first to crash out. I don't think anybody did they?
Nope.
What happened with Carlos Sainz? I don't remember seeing him again.
He retired.
He was at the back. He retired in the end, yeah, but he was at the back.
Actually, what happened to Norris?
He carried on and tired late on, I think. I mean, actually, Science might have finished. I could look, but I can't be bothered. I think Science might have finished, but Lando
I'll look
Norris
for you while you're talking.
tired. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think anybody did actually crash out. So which means, annoyingly, Steve gets the point. Now, to be fair, James, you did pick Kubica. I mean, he spun on the start on the formation lap, but the rest of the time he's not going fast enough to crash.
I think I remember seeing McLaren overtaking Kubica. I think it was showing the leaders and they were in the background, and I think it were into turn one. I think it was like Lando Norris or somebody overtook Kubica into turn one. But yeah, it's just kind of like, would it be more beneficial for Williams to just go, let's save some money and let's just not race this year because we're shit?
I think if they did that, you'd never see them again.
Just to confirm about Sainz, he finished 14th, a lap down, ahead of Giovinazzi, or Joe. And Norris DNF'd.
Oh dear.
But he did carry on for quite some time before he DNF'd.
Yeah. Well, fucking typical, because one of our initial predictions was, where will Norris finish? Steve said 7th. James said 9th. Fucking hell, I said 4th. So no points for all of us on that one. But you know what? The last prediction could be a difficult one to get points for, because
I've got an idea who I would put forward for it.
Okay, so Dick of the Day. Come on then, put your arguments forward for who you would give Dick of the Day to.
Vettel. He gets allowed to pass Leclerc and then fucks it up by locking up loads of times and doesn't actually make it pay. Doesn't catch the Mercedes.
Yeah. James?
I'd say Pirelli for bringing shit tyres.
Yeah, but they weren't driving a car, so you have to pick someone that's driving a car.
Somebody who's driving a car. I'd probably say Gasly because he's fucking wasted.
Yeah, but that's in general over every race. Yeah, that's in general over the. That's going to be the same for every race. I wouldn't say he was a dick on that day though. He's just a dick.
Well, if you think about it though, you've got that Albon kid. Why not? Rather than having some sort of contract where it's like you're fixing the seat for the rest of the year, why don't they do a thing where it's like, if we feel like changing you because you're a Red Bull driver, next week you might be in a different car, you might be in a Toro Rosso next week, and give Albon a go, see what he does, and if he does shit, you put Kvyat in, and then if he's shit, then you put. You know what I mean? Just do a bit of a merry-go-round of drivers and see which one pulls the opportunity out when it matters.
I think though, from a media perspective, that would scream that Red Bull are desperate and they're flapping and they're floundering and they don't know what their drivers are capable of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Gasly could be good enough. He needs something to click in that car for him. Would I say he's Dick of the Day? No. I would struggle. We didn't really see a hell of a lot of the race. I think I would have to agree and say Vettel. I think I'd have to agree with Steve and say Vettel for going, oh, let me buy him faster than him.
Yeah. I always just think, end of the day, I understand that there's team orders and this lot, but how much better would it be if you removed the team radio?
Yeah, I mean, if they were just made to race, then it would be so much better. But we're agreed then, so Vettel for Dick of the Day.
So who did we vote for, by the way?
I don't know. But yeah, Vettel's a dick.
Okay, thank you. For that, it means I'll get 1 point.
That's why you voted for Bell.
No, you both fell into my trap. No, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't say anybody else really did anything particularly stupid. And I'm really not a big fan of a teammate going, "Oh, I'm faster and faster," blah, 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 and then to fuck it up afterwards. Nah, I'm sorry.
Thing is, though, right, back with that, if I'd have been Leclerc, I'd have said, "Yep, I'll let him pass me when he's up alongside me."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hamilton said something to that extent in the past, where if he's fast enough and he gets alongside me, I will not fight him.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'll stick to the racing line, and it'll be like it's a lap situation.
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem. It's. I mean, you think about it. When McLaren drivers have raced against each other, it's been fantastic and exciting to watch. When Mercedes drivers have done it, it's been fantastic and exciting to watch. When Force India drivers did it, it was a fucking disaster. When Red Bull drivers did it, it was a disaster. But that's because of the people that were driving the cars.
What are you on about? Perez has always acted with integrity.
Oh yeah, with the best intentions of the team in mind.
Yeah, best intentions of the Mexican sponsors in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What that means then for the points, so just to let you know as well, first to crash out I went for Perez, so no points there for me. And Dick of the Day, Steve said it'd be Verstappen. Now we know how long it takes James to have a shit. Fucking hell, I know how long it takes for his toilet to flush. I did say at the start of this stream, someone will more than likely have a shit. So at least we'll put it out there straight away.
At least one of your predictions is right.
Yeah. Do I get 2 points for that? So yeah, where will sorry, Dick of the Day, James said Perez, and unfortunately I didn't really see anything of him throughout most of the race. What that means for the points for this week is that Steve got 4 points, James got 2 points, and I got a massive 1 point.
Steve just keeps pulling away.
Yeah,
got a big lead now. Big lead. Steve is, well, I'm on 6 points. James is ahead of me on 7 points. Sorry, I was just looking, right? Steve scored more points in race 2 than I've got in total. So yeah, James is on 7 points and Steve is on 15 points. Okay, now something else I will say though, right? Before the start of the season, right, when we made our Drivers' Championship predictions, both of you two said Leclerc will win the championship. Unfortunately, I think already that'll never happen with Vettel in the car as well, which is why I'm kind of glad I selected Hamilton.
Yeah, you don't get any bonus points for that though, Dave.
Oh wow, I get bragging rights.
Okay, I'll let you have bragging rights, but it means
Well,
football.
No, to be honest, I think we might have to give points for the pre-season predictions that we made.
Okay, 1 point per prediction then.
Yeah. Okay, now let's see. When is the next race?
Not this weekend, but the following weekend in Baku.
Okay, and let's see, next Tuesday, well I know next weekend, not this weekend coming up, the weekend after, the three of us are busy. And we may not be able to do, well, I know me and Steve were talking earlier about if we were to do our predictions for the next race today, it would free up a day for us next week where we've got a busy weekend. So for example, James, you can make sure that Vicky is feeling all loved and wanted before you abandon her for a few days.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I could just imagine it one day, James getting down on bended knee, opening a box, and it's got an onion ring in it.
Yeah, or an Haribo ring.
Yeah. So I've got plenty of different. I just pictured the guy in the wheelchair from Little Britain going, "I want that one." I don't want that one. I want that one. So anyway, Steve was saying that earlier that I think it'd be a good idea to do the predictions today for the next race in case we're not able to get on to do a podcast next week. So if we want to go ahead with doing those predictions now, I am absolutely down for that. So what race is it again? Azerbaijan?
Yep.
Okay, right then, Steve. Who do you think will take pole position in Azerbaijan? Hamilton.
Bottas.
Oh, well, he has been strong there the last few years, hasn't he? Should have won there at least once.
Yep.
James, who will you go for pole?
Fuck it, Leclerc.
Interesting. I've written that down for me as well. And I was just trying to contemplate, the Ferrari is good in the corners, but is it good in the 90-degree corners? I think it might be alright. So I'm going to go with Leclerc as well. Right then, Steve. Who is going to be the winner?
Hamilton.
Okay. James?
Leclerc.
Who would I go for? I'm going to say Bottas. I think this will be the year that he wins that race. Okay, your podium 3 then, Steve.
Hamilton. Bottas. Vettel.
Okay, James, your podium 3.
Leclerc. Bottas, Vettel.
Ooh.
Nah, if Vettel's in second place, Ferrari will do a switcheroo.
Well, that's why he said Leclerc, Bottas, Vettel. Vettel in third.
Okay.
Yeah, you see.
I'll let you off.
It's not like Ferrari haven't got the power to get Bottas to move out of the way as well. I'm going to go for Bottas. Hulkenberg. No, I'm not.
That Renault's going to go pop.
Look, that Renault's going to... I'd be surprised if it makes it there. I'm going to go Bottas, Hamilton.
You're just going to copy me to bag some points, aren't you?
You know what? I was going to say Vettel, and then I just realised you had said Vettel. No, you know what? I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go with... Leclerc. I'm going to go with Leclerc. Okay, first to crash out, Steve.
Right, I'm going to make a suggestion on this and see what you two think. Alright, first to crash out over the whole weekend. So first to hit a wall and have to be recovered. So basically, in any practice session or qualifying session, who's going to be the first one to seriously damage their car without being able to return it to the pits?
I'll tell you what, how about this then? Just to spice things up a little bit, you get 2 on this. One name, first to crash out over the whole course of the weekend, and the second name, first to crash out in the race. Get both right, you get 2 points. Get one right, you get 1 point.
Okay. Right, in that case, which one do you want first, the race or the weekend?
Weekend.
Stroll.
Okay. And
You want me to do both of mine?
Yeah, just give me a sec. Okay, in the race.
None.
Oh. Okay, James, your two.
Grosjean for first to crash over the weekend. In the race, it hurts me to say it, but he tends to end up there. I'm going to say Hulkenberg.
Oh.
He don't go well around this track.
No, he doesn't. Well, he did last year until he crashed.
Until he binned it.
Okay, so first to crash over the course of the weekend. I'm going to say... Who am I going to say? I'm going to say... Gasly.
What? What am I looking at?
And in the
You're in
race...
your birthday suit.
James, you're not. She will kill you if you're live and she's in the nuddy.
Ow!
Nice baps, Vic.
Looking good.
Yeah. James don't deserve you.
Thanks.
Can't believe you're recording this, James.
Okay, who's going to crash out first in the race? I'm going to say Vettel.
Oh shit! Dropped my phone.
Okay, guys, we're going to need 2 more predictions to make, and I'm thinking for one of them we could go lap of a safety car.
Is that including VSC or just straight safety car?
No, lap for safety car. Not a
no
VSC.
Safety car.
Because there's not going to be a crash in the race.
Yep.
Alright. Come on then, James. Pick a lap.
Lap 2.
I'm going lap 1. And no, it's not closest wins. Because that would really fuck me over. Okay, we're going to need one more prediction to do. Give us one, guys.
Who will Grosjean blame for hitting him?
Ericsson.
What about...
Did you hear that Grosjean were spotted just hanging up some lights in that Notre Dame cathedral?
No.
Yeah, that's all they were doing. He didn't say it live.
No.
On his cookery programme with his wife.
Apparently there was some bloke there. There was some bloke there going, "The balls! The balls!"
Get this right. I read today though, right? There's 2 very rich Frenchmen, right? One of them has already said he's going to donate 200 million euros towards the rebuild, and Selma Hayek's billionaire or billionaire husband has said he's going to donate £86 million. And
yeah, where are these people when like there's an earthquake and just people die or
poverty? Between those 2 people, don't get me wrong, it's amazing that they've come forward to help with such a historical thing, but those 2 people alone could probably solve world hunger.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them things where if they want such a thing as the Disney movie Hunchback of Notre Dame, nobody would give a shit. They'd just be like, "Oh, that's a shame." How many cathedrals are burnt in past billions? Well, pretty much all of them. Even York Cathedral were burnt down at one point and had to be partially rebuilt.
Yeah.
In World War II, in Blitz, fucking loads of buildings got just
Interestingly,
shit.
in the World War, there was kind of an agreement that you don't bomb churches. That's the only reason why quite a few of the churches and cathedrals were able to survive. It's because they were off limits, which is a bit mental when you think, hang on a minute, it's a war where you're dropping hundreds of fucking bombs. But
if that's the case, I'd have put my bomb factory in the cathedral.
Yeah.
Well,
Get ammunition made here now. They're not going to wait here.
Yeah, when I went to Cologne, I've been to Cologne a couple of times.
Yeah.
You see quite a lot of pictures of Cologne when it was hit by bombs, and there was only one building standing in the whole of Cologne.
And it was
a cathedral.
Yeah.
Everything else is just decimated.
Yeah. It's almost as if the Hulk has been let loose and then calmed down in the church. Okay, so for the final prediction, I'm thinking we do another what position. So, what position will who finish?
What about Gasly? Because he's the one that's been struggling. Or is that too obvious that he's probably going to be 6th?
Maybe.
Or Albon, he had a good race last time, coming from out of the pit lane.
I'd be happy to go for that one. You happy to go for that one, James?
What's that? Sorry, love.
What position? Sorry, love.
What
did you just call me love?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I'm not a little old lady in your local grocers, you know, that you didn't hear properly. What position will Albon finish, darling?
He won't.
Oh.
The Honda's going to go pop.
Okay. Oh, I've put that in Steve's bit, but okay. DNF from James. Go on there, Steve.
I was actually thinking he might crash out, even though I said no one's going to crash out. No, but let me have a think about this for a minute. Toro Rosso. 8th.
I think he's going to have a disaster. I think he's going to crash out. Or at least he's going to be involved in something. I'm going to go 14th.
Maybe it would have been better off doing what lap will Hulkenberg crash on.
Quite possibly. Well, we'll have to wait and see how we get on with those predictions. Right, I think that is me done for any F1 talk that I've got, guys. Anything else you want to mention about the Chinese Grand Prix or Azerbaijan coming soon?
It was just a bit of a naff race. Kimi Räikkönen impressed me.
Struggling.
Yeah.
I tell you what didn't impress me, and that's the guy that came to have a look at a TV I'm selling earlier today.
Oh yeah, you were going to tell us about this. Go on.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so selling a TV on Facebook, right? 60 quid. It's not in the best of condition, right? Being the screen flickers for about a minute. When you turn it on, then it's fine. There's no remote for it, but other than that it's fine, right? So I thought, well, I'll pop it on Facebook, 60 quid, I'd take 50 for it, right? So you put it on a little higher than you're willing to accept. Anyway, I've had quite a few people message me saying, is this still for sale? I'm like, yeah. 30 quid, no. 40 quid, can you deliver it? No, it says on the advert, no delivery, collection only. Having to deal with all of the numpties like that. And then this one guy today, English guy actually, messages saying, alright mate, you still got this? I was like, yes I have. He says, okay, I'm really interested, can I come and have a look? I was like, yeah, no problem, as long as it's today before 8 o'clock or tomorrow before 6 o'clock. He's like, yeah, no problems, I can be there in 15 minutes. I was like, sound. Gets here with his kid's probably 13, 14 years old. I bring him upstairs, and I'd actually turned it on so that they could see that it was working, because this was at about 7:20, right? And I was thinking, got to get ready for the podcast soon, and I'm absolutely bossed in for a shit. So anyway, it gets here, he looks at it, and he says, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Has it got a remote? I was like, no, it says on the advert no remote. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, he's for me kid. He's only interested in using it for a bit of gaming. So well, that's what I've been using it for. It's fine for that. And he's looking at it, goes, well, could you turn it off and turn it on again so I can see this flickering? I says, well, I can, but I don't think it'll flicker because it's warmed up. Like, literally, it flickers for a minute, and then once that's gone, it's fine. Turned it off, turned it on, and it was fine. I says, I tell you what, I'll turn it off, we'll leave it a few minutes, and then we'll see if it does it when I turn it back on, right? So while we're waiting, we're having a bit of a chat, and he's asking about, like, he says, well, how do you turn it on then if there's no remote? I said, that power button there. He goes, oh right, well, how do you turn the volume up and down? Like, with the volume button right next to the power button. At this point I'm thinking, fucking hell, okay. It's like, come on, either say you want it or you're not.
Baz.
Yeah. And he says, well, might be interested, but I don't know if I'm willing to pay 60 quid. Anyway, turned the TV on, it flickered a couple of times and then was fine. He goes, yeah, without flicking, for all I know, I could take it home and it could go bang, and it's not me paying for it, it's my lad. And I was like, well, look, it's priced at 60 quid. There's a bit of wiggle room there, so if you want it, what are you willing to offer? He goes, how about 40 quid? I was like, no, you're alright, mate. I says, make it 50, you can have it. He goes, oh, I don't know, not with that flicking. I really don't. He goes, what guarantee do you give with it? I was like, none. It's a second-hand sale. That's
What guarantee? 5-year warranty, mate. Nah,
Yeah.
fuck off.
That's not the best. Then he turns around and says, well, I am looking at another TV though. I was like, all right. He says, yeah, and that's 45 quid with a 3-month guarantee. I says, well, if I was you, I'd go and get that.
I'd go get that one.
Yeah. And,
He ain't really, he's just bullshitting.
yeah, but I mean, I literally said, well, look, if someone's offering you a 3-month guarantee on a £45
go and get
TV, go and get it, because I ain't going to be offering you a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, my experience has been with a TV, and it's up to you. And he goes, well, I'll offer you 40. I was like, no, I'm not taking 40, mate. I said, I told you, I'll take 50.
Exactly.
And I said, well, look, I priced it 60. I've offered 50. You either want it or you don't. If you don't, I'll see you later. And he was like, oh, we'll leave it then, mate. I was like, all right, no worries, see you later.
Yeah.
And we get to my front door, and I'm like, cheers for coming. Didn't say a word. I thought, you dick. But it gets better than that, right? Because I've literally just now gone on Facebook, and one of the other people that's been messaging me was one that's gone, oh, I'm really interested in this TV. Can you deliver it? And I put, no, I can't.
No. Exactly.
And I've just gone onto Facebook and seen I've got a message off the guy. I've got 2, but I can only see part of one, and it says, you're not after a power shower by any chance, are you? I'm like, hang on, I'm selling a TV. Are you interested in a power shower? And I'm like, let's see what. Okay, I could collect tomorrow. You're not after a power shower by any chance, are you? Or sink and taps? No, I'm really not. Oh dear
Jesus
God!
Christ. It makes you wonder how these people get through life.
Yeah.
I mean, what on God's fucking earth?
I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm all up for the concept of, oh, I've got something you want, and you've got
Dave,
something I want.
I just thought,
Go on.
you have to message him back saying, no, I'm not interested really in the power shower, but I've also got some jeans that I'm selling and a training board.
Fucking hell, yeah. I could, and 2 printers. They need ink, though.
Just say I sell used underwear if you
No, you're alright.
into
I don't need getting banned from Facebook.
Just reply saying, is that a euphemism?
Oh God.
Power shower means something else.
Yeah, sink and taps.
Golden shower.
I've got a very hard sink and taps, mate. But I think you're not wrong. It's like, how do some people get through? I mean, like I was about to say, I'm all up for people. Like, if I've got something you want, you've got something I want, let's do a deal. Let's do a swap. I'm all up for that. But when you're like, look, here's a television I am selling, collect it only, I'm not delivering it, this is the price. Don't expect to come and get it for 50% cheaper, or expect me to fucking deliver it for you at the same time. Or try
expect a warranty.
Yeah, or expect a warranty, or want to trade it for a power shower.
Fuck me.
Anyway, I think on that it might
You should have said. I was going to say, you should have said, "Can I have proof of it? The power shower working when you get here?"
Oh,
and you should have said how much, and then when he give you a price, just ask for
a demonstration.
50% lower. Like, oh well, just play him at his own game.
I really do wonder sometimes. I really do. I think on that it might be time to end this evening's podcast. So make sure you check out Dynamic GT League's YouTube channel for some GT Sport racing. Race videos going up around about the weekend time. So there's been a few interesting ones so far already. More interesting than the China Grand Prix, let's put it that way.
More overtakes than you see in China.
Yep, definitely. Right.
I'll just do a little shout out. I just want to say thank you very, very much for Dave the Harp if he's listening. As he provided me with a fantastic set of new pedals. And I'll be depositing his money into his bank as soon as we finish.
Yeah, he'll also be breaking them in about half an hour. Hopefully not. Okay, right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and don't have a shit when your missus is in the bath.
No, she wasn't in bath. She was on the toilet.
Just naked.
She was just getting in way.
Yeah. Right, on that note, have a good one, folks. We'll see you all again soon.
See you later.
Blah 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 blah.